Great products have a solid history and a ton of work behind them. What does the backstage of product development look like? We would love to explore products' intimate stories by interviewing their great leaders. And that's why I would like to welcome our guest, CEO and founder of Brand24, Mike Sadowski. Hi, Mike. It's a great pleasure to have you here. So let's start off with maybe you telling me and the listeners a few things about your company, what Brand24 is, what kind of company is it, and what's your product specialty?
Thank you for inviting me. So Brand24 is a media monitoring tool. So whenever whoever talks about your company, your product, your competitor, anywhere on the public web, we let you know. And we crunch the data for you and we provide insights that can turn into action. So you can improve your product, you can improve your communication with your clients, you can fix some potential fuck-ups. So you just simply have a new channel to talk with clients within the channels that they prefer, because most of the clients talk on some message boards, blogs, Reddit, social media, and you have to be where they are. It's not all about your own contact form, your own fan page or whatever. So we give a new channel for communication between brands and their customers.
So you translate this rare human skill of actually listening into the digital sphere, right?
Oh yeah. Listening is one of the very strategic keywords for us is a social listening, although we don't only do social, because again, this is a full public web monitoring. So regardless if it's a message board or a blog post, we'll find it out.
Great. So everyone knows what CEO stands for, but could you tell me more about what your role is as a CEO, especially in relation to product and to people?
I think that the biggest role for CEO is being a facilitator for different types of processes within the company. Just pretty much enabler and optimizer. So I try to look for ways to optimize the way we do business, the way we provide experience for the customers, and obviously it sounds like a pretty generic terms that pretty much all CEO would claim, but yeah, all of our meetings are devoted. I try to understand what person does and hopefully ask questions they wouldn't ask themselves, and maybe this way they can learn something about their work. They can get additional insights that in other way or in other circumstances they wouldn't find out.
I wouldn't say it's strictly generic, because I think a CEO would rather assume a more of a leadership position, while you really underscore the humbleness and being a team player rather than necessarily a team leader.
I think like the good CEO is the top team player. I mean, it's that's actually that's the difference between the boss and the leader. There's this popular graphic, and I really feel strongly about it. So whenever when we had a crisis of the product crisis, because we've lost a big part of our data set by being blocked or
by Facebook, right?
Periodically being blocked by Facebook. Obviously that came to an end, and we got reinstated, and all end up being good, but well, maybe not good, but it got back to normal. We had a lot of difficulty in terms of communicating this problem to clients. They were obviously unhappy with losing a substantial part of the data. So I came forward and I asked our CS team to include me in every conversation with client who's leaving our product because of this. Just to be able to talk to them personally, apologize personally, so this was a couple of hundred conversations across 2 weeks, which was specifically difficult because there was a lot of negativity that was accumulated in one person. But
I can imagine.
I think that CEOs should do things like this to be in the front line. Just if you use war analogy, you shouldn't be a general that's somewhere far away from the trenches. Obviously, to make strategic decisions, it's better. But the generals that have no connection at any time with the experience of being in the trenches are probably not a good general. So I try to stay in the trenches for most part. So both in terms of the product, communication with clients, I still talk to clients personally on a number of occasions. Same with marketing. So pretty much every space within the company.
Right. So shoulder a great deal of responsibility. Amazing. And
hopefully, but it doesn't sound very trustworthy when I'm saying these things. It would be much more glamorous if there was somebody here who could say these nice things about me.
Well, I can imagine your clients vouch for you.
When I'm saying this about myself, that sounds pathetic, probably.
Okay, so let's move on to more structural issues. Could you tell us more about who are your direct reports and what do they report on to you?
Do you mean by that who's reporting to me directly?
Yes.
Right. So typically, I talk to product owners and the let's say team leaders across multiple teams. We have a front-end team, which is devoted to creating and building the front-end part of the product. We have the data team that is focused on keeping all the sources of the data that we have active, plus working on the new sources like monitoring podcasts, monitoring email newsletters, etc. And there's also a small R&D team that is focused on the technologies like sentiment analysis or machine learning algorithms that help us to figure out what sort of data is the best for the user. Plus, I oversee marketing within our company. So typically, I talk with people managing specific marketing channels, like content marketers that create essentially blog posts or landing pages within our product. A head of performance marketing, so a person who's managing Google Ads, Facebook ads, yada yada. So this would be typically my or the people that I talk most with.
Right. And during those meetings, what kind of information are you looking to find? Is this like straight numericals, or is it more sentiments of the personnel and staff, or is it just general talk about trends and performance of the business, or is it a bit of everything?
Right. So with the product, it's a little bit of both. So obviously we use a lot of analytics because we are sort of an analytics company ourselves. We provide analytics for online conversations. So we put a lot of attention towards analytics ourselves. So the idea here is to leverage our data warehouse to make product decisions based on the data as much as we can. So we try to, for example, analyze the conversion funnels. We analyze behavior of a client with tools like Hotjar or Heap Analytics, just to see what they've done within the product. So it's a lot of in a lot of respect, it's about numbers, but on the other hand, we also try to make this conversation more quality with conversations with clients themselves by obviously talking on one-on-ones with clients and maybe finding out their pains that our product can possibly solve. So this is how we do it on the product end. On the marketing end, it's mostly about numbers. Luckily, we are a type of product that's very easy to track, or probably easier to track than most businesses out there. So it's mostly about tracking statistics and tracking conversion funnels for specific channels of our customer acquisition channels, and figuring out which ones perform obviously better than the other, and maybe if we can learn one from the other, something about if we can replicate some of the actions that were successful within one channel towards some other channel, essentially.
I see. Great. And could you tell us some more about how the process of product, the implementation and development looks like at Brand24? And sticking with numbers, could you tell us how many people are on your product team?
Right. So it's probably around 15 to 20 people that are in some way engaged with the product development. Typically, we obviously have the backlog of ideas, but since this year we changed our approach. So typically over past years we would come up with an idea, and then we would implement the beta version, and we would bounce this idea off clients. Right now we try to make it more agile. So we prepare a proof of concept, maybe a clickable mock-up that we can share with the client, and maybe get their feedback even before we start engaging developers, which is the most precious resource in any IT business. So yeah, that would be the typical approach. Once we get a feedback from client, we try to cross-reference the feedback with the data from our data warehouse. So we try to see if this particular pain or the problem is represented by more people across our portfolio, maybe more of our users. Then typically, unless this is very straightforward win, like a very obvious win, very like a low-hanging fruit that's obviously will benefit the clients, we typically do A/B testing. So we slice our portfolio by 50%, and we introduce for a month or two a new fix, a new feature, and we see how it impacts key metrics like conversion rate, churn, etc.
Right. And more about the team breakdown and the different roles that people have. Could you tell us more about the blueprint at Brand24? Do people like developers and designers and product owners, do they sit together? Do they merge together throughout the day? Or each is more individual and then they meet up towards the end of the particular sprint or process?
Well, right now with the home office dominating our space is obviously they rarely work together within one room. But typically our front-end team consists of the obviously front-end developers, product owner, and the designers, and they meet together. They have a sprint reviews, sprint planning, obviously typical meetings within a Scrum methodology, which is our operating methodology for years now. And yeah, I typically meet with the product owners. I don't often meet the team itself. I wish I would, because it feels valuable. But with a company like ours, we're a small company, 50 people. So my time is still spread thin over many divisions. But yeah, within other teams, like for example, data team, it obviously has a product owner. They rarely work with the designers because their work is mostly again in the back end. So it doesn't really affect what clients see in a visual way. Obviously, it affects a lot the features that they experience. because without the data team, there wouldn't be no product because it's fully based on external data. So yeah, this is how it's figured out. So the designer is mostly independent, I would say, entity within the company. It can work with many divisions. Most of the work is with the front-end team, obviously, but we have like work group that consists of the head of design and product owners, where we also try to brainstorm new ideas for an interface or for parts of our product.
Right, great. Thank you so much for this insight. And now some more about the company's product strategy. Do you want to be like top 5 social listening tools in a region or maybe worldwide domination? What's your plan?
Totally worldwide domination would be our goal. I feel like we're already in top 5. So yeah, we want to be, number one go-to media monitoring, top of mind worldwide. We have thousands of clients from over 120 countries already. We are a top 1 in Poland. We've been for a number of years now. And yeah, so now the focus is on the global market, and let's say the midterm goal would be to get to 10,000 clients as soon as possible. The short term would be less about the clients and more about the releasing of the new product, because we work on the new version of Brand24. We hope to release early next year. And yeah, that would be our goal. We want to be a top of mind company, a top of mind media marketing for Fortune 5 million rather than for Fortune 500. So we're trying to make media marketing affordable. Historically, it was mostly reserved for companies that for big brands like Coca-Cola, IKEA. Right now, we want to make it affordable for anyone, really.
Great.
Small, medium business owners as well.
Here's to that. Amazing. And could you tell me more about the connection between the product, the marketing, and sales at your company? What's the secret glue that sticks it all together and lets you spit out such amazing products?
Thanks. I mean, I wish I had some secret sauce to share, but I feel like this is one of the things that we struggle with, actually. And this is probably one of the key takeaways from 2020 for me. That at some point, probably next year, we will be hiring a person that will be like a dedicated touch point across a product, customer success team, and marketing. So, in a perfect word, we would have a person that constantly talks to clients, and not talks to clients like a CS team, but has a product background, has a marketing background, and is pretty much like this all-round person that can get to know the clients and understand them, and then translate this into potential product features and insights that can benefit all the other divisions out there. Right now, one of the challenges within Brand24 is the disconnect between customer success and the product and marketing. We have town hall meetings every quarter where we share key insights from each division, but I don't feel like this is enough. We should have this as a monthly ongoing process that's a big part of the every week of our operations. So as much as I would love to share our amazing best practices for connecting these divisions, we're actually doing pretty poorly in this respect, and this is something we help to optimize.
I really admire the honesty, and it's great to see people want to share their work in progress.
We still kick ass. I mean, don't get me wrong. The company is growing pretty nicely. Again, we have thousands of clients. So actually, every time I have this realization, and I have this, revelation about some fuck up within our organization, I'm actually happy, Because if we are doing well while having all these fuck ups, then we can obviously get better and maybe grow faster, etc. So whenever I if I find fuck ups when we're doing poorly, I would be unhappy with myself. But if we find fuck ups while still growing in a nice pace, that's a good things to find out.
Motivates you to do even better, right? And could you tell me some more about your routine? Do you have any regular habits or rhythms as a company leader?
Not really. I mean, I'm probably addicted to chaos. Which sounds weird, but
sounds great.
I hate meetings. I hate organized weeks where I have pre-scheduled meetings or everything. So we don't have a pre-scheduled marketing status calls. It's probably a bad thing, and probably it is a pain for a lot of people within marketing division. We don't have a pre-scheduled weekly product calls. We do a lot of things asynchronously. So, and less nicer word, chaotically, I would say. But this is how I feel like this is how we stay creative. This is how it's easy for me to spend 4 hours a day on just pushing the product further or doing some creative work, trying to find trying to take the data from the marketing team, combining with the customer success data, and then mixing it somehow with the product insights so I can present some new idea for a feature on the next product meetup. So typically it's very chaotic, but I try to keep it that way because when I have pre-scheduled meetings, I tend to be less creative. I tend to be like putting myself into some sort of a rhythm, and not rhythm in a good way, but like this. So
it constrains you.
Yeah, like the procrastination. We start to go with the meeting because that's what we do. That's what the agenda says. We have to go, even though we have little to discuss, little product development to discuss. We have to go to the meeting because it's scheduled, whatever. So I prefer not to have this type of agenda. Because with the agile company, with the company that's growing fast, it's typically it's not a factory that's well that has some sort of a manual where you can calculate how much time you're going to spend on specific challenges. We typically try to do something that has never been done before. We have no benchmarks that we could use. We have, rarely anyone to look up to. Even if we do, they rarely share the data that we could somehow use to anticipate the time frame for a new product release. So it feels like if you want to keep the constant growth and the fast pace of growth, you have to embrace the chaos, if you will. Maybe that's bullshit. Maybe that's just me trying to put the nice words on just me being shit and chaotic about running the company. But that's what I feel. I tried over months to be very, I would say, precise and scheduled everything. But it wasn't working for me. I found myself not spending time on thinking how to push the product to the next level, and more about maintaining a sort of a status quo.
Right. I think given the ever-changing customer needs in our monkey brain, it's important to reflect the kind of environment that you're based in. And I think it's a blueprint that true visionaries really thrive in chaos. So I don't think it's bullshit. I think it's rather true.
Appreciate
But
it. Thank you.
yeah, despite this chaos, I'm sure you as a company have some product goals. Would it be, how do you set them exactly? Do you use OKRs? And use any specific tools, KPIs that cascade down? Could you tell us some more about it?
Right. So the product goals typically are based on the business performance. So it's apart from obviously the deadlines or like the initial deadlines for a specific feature release or product release, we try to measure to anticipate the influence it will have for our conversion funnel, for our sales funnel. So we typically try to apply a specific backlog item or a feature and assign this to specific part of the funnel. Our funnel is divided into 10 to 20 stages of the customer journey, and within a specific item, we help to improve a specific part of the journey, and that's how we measure the success. If the feature was designed to bump down the churn, so improve the retention rate,
right?
That's what we measure. And for a number of years, we were doing a big mistake by just measuring what's happening after the introduction of this new feature. And to be honest, this was a bad approach, because with a company like ours, there are so many variables that come into play when you're looking at the end result of the sale or churn or whatever, because we can have improvement in sales because of the better marketing, better onboarding, better product, better customer success. Number of ways we can do that.
Right.
And they are obviously changing all the time, because we have a different types of traffic all the time. More or less, there's ups and downs in terms of the traffic from US, ups and downs when it comes to traffic from some sort of a business sources that convert pretty well to clients. So there's so many variables that if you don't do, for example, A/B testing, you're in the dark, because it might look like that the new feature was a success because it improved sales, but apparently the sales improved because you had a different type of traffic in this period, and
right.
the feature had no impact, or even had a negative impact on the product, on the sales. But we don't see it because it's flooded by all the other variables out there. So since a few years, we've been doing A/B testing, and that's the only way to go, and the only way to measure success and actual influence. So we would typically still track sales, but we would obviously divide our target consumers into two identical groups, where, for example, in each group we have 20,000 users to test a specific feature or not test this feature, and see how it affects key parameters like sales, churn, conversion rate, etc.
Really interesting. So you need to fine tune all these different variables, and need to pay great attention to the actual reason of improvement.
Yeah, we have to level the playing field, so we know that we precisely compare this feature and not all the other variables that accumulated within a specific period.
Great. And do you work with any agencies?
No, not so much. We tried a number of agencies for Facebook ads. Over time, none of them provided results that were
satisfactory to Brand24.
Satisfactory.
Right.
We do outsource mobile app creation. So we work with the external developers that help us with the mobile app, Outside of that, it's all in-house.
Great. And are there any specific tools that you rely on? I know that people love product tech or management tools. Is there anything you use within Brand24?
Right. We would have to ask the team leaders or product owners.
No worries.
But based on my knowledge, they use a lot of Asana. They use a lot of Trello. But we do have a pretty advanced integration of all the tools that we use with both our data warehouse and tools like obviously the communication tools like Slack.
Right.
They also use a tool called what was the name? I'm sorry, but the tool that converts conversations of the customer success team to product insights. So to quantify, for example, the number of times that it's called prod site. So it integrates with Intercom, which is our marketing automation tool, and it converts or calculates, for example, number of conversations where a client was requesting some specific feature, just so the product owner would have this knowledge about some sort of a quantity of clients who need this feature or who request this feature. So that would be another tool. Other than that, a lot of analytics tools. Again, we use Heap Analytics, Hotjar, Google Analytics, and we combine all the data into data warehouse where we have shit ton of data that we crunch to get insights and to track conversion rates, open rates, deliverability, really number of KPIs that can help us to understand if we're getting better or worse.
And you personally, do you rely on any tools in your workflow?
Oh yeah, mostly as a marketer. So most of the tools that I use. So for being a CEO, I only use Trello just to have a like a backlog of things I have to do, or like what's the status of the each division. So whenever I have a one-on-ones with the product owners, or whenever I have one-on-ones with people for managing specific marketing channels, I have listed some takeaways from the last meeting, some things that we agreed that we will be working on since then, and then I can bring this up and maybe ask them again what's the status, how are we doing, if there's any improvement, etc.
Thank you so much for shedding light on that. And to wrap up and a bit of daydreaming, if you had one wish that could solve any product-related challenge, what would it be? Would it be unlimited resources, unlimited staff? What would you choose?
I would definitely choose to have unlimited developers, or at least more than we have right now, because they are most scarce resource for most of IT businesses. We have number of ideas, we have number of low-hanging fruits where we know maybe not 100%, but we have very, very good idea that the specific feature will improve key metric. But we obviously lack resources. So I really look forward to the time when we will have a war chest of millions of dollars stored in the bank account, where we'll be just have a freedom to to work with as many or to realize as many ideas as we want. Obviously, that might be difficult because the appetite grows while you're eating, and it's easy for me to imagine that I will say the same thing if we have 100 developers. But
Great, some food for thought for our listeners in terms of career choices and pathways.
Right.
Thank you, Mike, for accepting the invitation for our interview. We strongly believe that sharing product developing stories like tips, tricks, successes, fuck-ups, and strategies might help future product owners and managers make their products simply better. And you, dear listeners or watchers, Make sure to subscribe our channel and share your comments with us.